Salutations, Imperial citizens and battle brothers. It's Brother Tobias, and welcome to the last part of the Warhammer 40k Summer 2024 rules changes. This is the PARIAH Nexus Tournament Companion. So, this document basically lays out how Games Workshop thinks you should run match play tournaments with the new mission deck. All of the new mission pack rules, like the cards and the layouts, all of that is in here. So here we go. We have the sequence. It is here's how it goes: muster army, determine missions, place the markers, battlefield, blah blah. All of that, the same thing. They explain some of the icons here, explain how stratagems work. I will point this out here because it's in the mission pack, but you can use the new order stratagem to draw a new secondary every single turn, not just once per game. That's a change compared to Leviathan. Here we go. Secret missions are explained here. All of the icons, what they mean on the deployments, and so on. So here we come to the actual changes for what's happening. First, recover assets is not a fixed objective anymore. You cannot take recover assets as a fixed card. It was deemed as too powerful by Games Workshop, so you can't use this. If you want to take fixed, take a Locus or Cleanse, probably. Secondary mission, Assassination. Assassination now counts character models, not units. So if there's a multi-character unit like Ephraim Stern and the Harlequin guy and sisters, if you kill one of them, you now get the 5 points. Cull the Horde. Cull the Horde is a fixed secondary that gives you 5 points if you kill a unit with 20 or more models or 25 or more wounds, excluding leaders attached to it. There was a problem with the secondary where you were able to pay for 20 models but only take 19. So you would purposely cut a model from your squad, and that would make the secondary worthless. Now it isn't. This rule says if you could have taken 20, it counts as 20. So this is now a legitimately good secondary, just in case you see someone play Green Tide or Endless Swarm or Crude or Chaos Cult, any of these. Mission rule, hidden supplies. This is the mission rule that turns the objective in the center into 2 objectives. And if you can't move an objective marker into a no man's land corner because the deployments cover every corner of the battlefield, you now have to roll off with your opponent. And the winner of the roll-off decides which way the 2 objectives move. This can create some very annoying board states where if you play a shooting army, you want the objective to be out in the open. If you are a close combat army, you want it to be behind a terrain feature. So I don't think this is a good solution. I would have preferred to have this rule here, but then later on in the missions, you don't have this rule on deployments where this would come up. And here's Scorched Earth. Each time a player burns an objective, you get the points. Previously, it said something like each time an objective is burned, but like it's fine. PARIAH Nexus FAQs. Here we go. Here's an update to something I talked about in the last video, which is the pivot value. In addition to all models having pivot 0 unless they don't have a base, in matched play, every model that is not on a round base has a pivot value of 2. The reason why this is here is because something like a bike unit, because a bike unit has an oval base, you could deep strike 9-inch away with the flat edge of the base towards the enemy, and then before you do your charge move, you would turn around your base and you would gain an extra inch because it's an oval and you turn around and then you gain an inch in that direction. With this, you now have to subtract 2 inches, and that means it doesn't work. This still means pivoting is a bit crazy on units that are really long, but have a round base, like a Drukhari Raider, or a Ghost Arc, or a Doomsday Arc. These units can still abuse this. So I think this needs another round of text on it, but in principle, this is good because this discourages the bike cheese. Here we go. We have is it 25 missions? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 20 missions? Is it 20? Yes, we have 20 missions for the tournament companion. And as you can see right here, we have 8 terrain layouts. 8. That's a lot of terrain layouts. So here it says Mission A, and it gives you take and hold, raise banners, and tipping points, stuff like that. So it tells you what deployment, it tells you which mission rule, and it tells you what primary mission. Same as before, you don't see a lot of Dawn of War, and you don't see a lot of sweeping engagement. Those are 2 very polarizing deployments. Dawn of War is very good for shooting armies, sweeping engagement is very good for close combat armies, and the other ones are more fair. These are more fair than the other ones. In terms of the missions, we only have 1 mission with servo skulls, which is unexploded ordnance, and we only have 1 supply drop, I believe. No, we have 2. Supply drop and supply drop. It seems like all the mission rules have a use in the missions here. We have Fog of War, Hidden Supplies, Raise the Banners, Rapid Escalate. Like, all of these happen at some point, which is an interesting choice, but that's how it is. So here we go. Those are the missions and telling you what layout they can be used on. About the layouts. So here we go. Games Workshop did something I really appreciate. For the first time ever, I don't know what the hell that is, they have decided to include measurements in their stupid terrain, which is great. I love that. So now you have 4 pieces of 6 by 4 inch terrain. You have 2 pieces of 5 by 10, and you have 6 pieces of 12 by 6. And the ruins on the layouts, the way they are suggested with the height, is now coded in a color, and it now says with a little eye icon whether the terrain piece is 1 piece or 2 pieces, or how it works. And the little ruin tells you how to put the terrain. Did I skip over the important line I want to talk about? Oh yeah. Before we get to the layouts, because it is related to the ruins, I want to talk about this. For the purposes of the mission pack, are there any amendments to the core rules regarding how ruins affect charging and which models can fight? No. This means models can be positioned to make it difficult to charge directly through ruins of terrain features, because the models can't be placed within the feature without staying on top of the wall. This is a big deal. With this, Games Workshop now officially said if you want to block your opponent 1 inch off the wall, this is now an intended game mechanic. They add a little thing here that says organizers, if your terrain is completely enclosed like a rectangle that can be blocked from all 4 sides, you may have to come up with a new way to deal with this issue. But this is a direct contradiction to what the WTC in Europe is doing. This is now Games Workshop saying, no, this is part of the game. I am incredibly curious how the WTC will address this, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. If you want my opinion, I'm always in favor of following Games Workshop unless Games Workshop doesn't explain a rule properly. If Games Workshop doesn't say you can re-roll a roll on fast die, then it doesn't work. I always want to go off of the rules, and in this case, the rules explicitly say this is how it is, so I think we should follow it. This is my opinion as a judge and competitive player, but the WTC has the last word, unfortunately. So here we go to the layouts. This is layout 1. Layout 1 is very similar to what we had before. I think the only changes, these two things over here, they move all the way to the edge, so now you can't look through that little gap on the side, which means this little piece of terrain is really good for strategic reserves, because you can now arrive over here, shoot down this angle, and you're safe from this angle, which is pretty good. Or you can move from this ruin behind this base and then over here. I like that. You still get the two hot spots in the center. You can put your stuff over here and then move into the center. You still get your big ruin over here. That's how it is. And one thing everyone will appreciate, measurements. 4 inches, 16 inches, 4 inches. Great. Now you don't have to guess how Games Workshop meant it. Awesome change. This one also seems familiar. Is this the same? I think this is the same as it was before. Yes, so layout 2, this also seems familiar. I think the ruin changed slightly. I think they were angled like this before, but yeah, otherwise it's the same. Layout 3, this one is crazy. This one is a bit wild. This one looks a bit like scatter terrain, like you just threw all of the terrain pieces onto the table. This one is pretty wild. You have a thing here where you can sit here, go to the center. You have two big boxes on the bottom. So if this is like a Dawn of War deployment, you can hide a lot of your units. This is an interesting one. This is a pain to measure though, because everything is it isn't in a straight horizontal or vertical line. It's all diagonal. This is a pain to set up. Also, these two pieces are not connected. So if you stand in this one, you can't see behind this wall. Interesting. Then we have this one right here, Terrain Layout 4. This one has a very open center and no way to hold the center from within a wall. So this one has a very open shooting middle, but no shooting at the corners, basically. I wonder what layout is that? Or what deployment is that on? That's layout 4. Deployment tipping point 4-4. That's the long one. Nope. Search and destroy. Search and destroy 4 times. So on corners it is happening on the diagonals. On the diagonals. So this one, and on corners, I assume it's this corner and this corner. That's a crazy layout. Then we have this one. This one is pretty similar, but you have more firing lines across the board. You can see through here. You can see through here. But you also have big buildings you can hide in. This is interesting. Terrain layout 6. Once again, a very open center. Very open center, and I assume this is for corners deployment or for like the new step deployment over here, so you can hide in those ruins. This one is interesting. Terrain layout 7. This one is really cool. This is basically like trench warfare. This is incredibly easy to set up. No diagonals. Love it. Love this one. This one is really good for infantry melee because everyone can just stare at each other from behind walls. This one is really nice. I like this one. This one looks cool. You can't see from one deployment zone into the other one, so long range shooting is compromised. So this is a grindy melee type of deployment. I think Death Guard will love this one. And here we have terrain layout 8. This one is interesting. You have the 4 crates in the center, but you can also see through a lot of things, but you can't really draw line of sight from deployment zones. This one is weird. 4 crates in the center makes moving a big model through there really annoying. It's simultaneously really open in the middle, but also very close because you can't go there with vehicles. So this one once again benefits infantry and flying infantry in particular. Very interesting layouts. I can't wait to play a game on each layout just to see how it goes. This seems incredibly interesting. So any closing words? Here we go. How do you pair players in the tournament? And then at the end, of course, the number one thing is enjoy yourself with the tournaments. And I hope you enjoyed yourself just as much going with me through all of these rules. I spent a solid hour and a half recording all of this, so I would appreciate it if you tell me what you think about the rules. What did I miss? What did I explain well? Please tell me in the comments, and I hope to see you again. Courage and honor, we march for McCraig.